All right, we've got the red Zerg CoL.NoCreativity taking that last game, and he is the red Zerg down in the bottom left corner of Daybreak. His new opponent from Team Alt is going to be this green Terran up in the top right. It is ALT.EliGe. ALT.EliGe.
I'll go with that.
It's like an elite liege.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm a card guy, so it looks kind of like Lotus Exige, and then I just replace the X with an L and call it EliGe. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe. When someone says, like, if a squire changes, or not, so if he changes, if he addresses like a knight, or a king or something, he says, "My liege."
Yes.
What does that? That actually means that that person's in charge of him. That's what like having a liege.
Yes,
is?
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you say "Yes, my liege," then it's just like "Yes, my owner / boss."
Basically.
Okay.
Yes.
And
it actually means exactly that, owner / boss.
Okay.
So it's a dual meaning.
So serfs would have a liege as their lord as their liege, also stuff like that. Okay. Well, either way, I couldn't wait to figure out what Rainbow changed his name to because it's so ridiculous. It's Hope Torture.
Oh, that's right.
Rainbow changed his name.
I remember that.
To Hope Torture.
Yeah.
And then he changed his name to Black Citadel after that.
That's sweet.
So we were just talking about the Korean players whenever they pick English names. Sometimes they're a little weird.
Is that Rainbow or Swedish black metal bands? I'm not actually sure.
Rainbow. Yeah, maybe he got really into some heavy rock.
Hope Torture.
And, Hope Torture. That's like the most famous example of just like weird name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just some of them are great. Nesty, probably the most famous player in StarCraft, is like, well, Zergbong isn't taken. I've got some Nesty here. Let's go with that.
Yeah, Zergbong, there was issues, actually. His name was blocked on
that is
Battle.net.
correct.
He could not have that name on Battle.net, even though someone told me a long time ago that his name, like Zergbong, was built from his name, but his name is Lim J. Duck, so I'm not sure what. I still don't really know what that means. But Nesty is just a lot easier to remember, and obviously there are sponsorship opportunities. Nesty, the actual official Facebook, likes to sometimes post about Nesty the player, so that's a fun aside to have that going on.
Just giving them plenty of advertising. We're talking about it right now, for God's sake.
That's true. Nesty, I mean, delicious, refreshing iced tea products. I don't really like tea very much.
I drink green tea every day, so I love tea.
Why? What makes it green? I mean, isn't all tea just made of plants anyway?
Well, except for some of the ones you purchase out of a can. I remember we had English relatives visiting, and we're like, "You want some tea?" to ourselves, and they're like, "Oh yes, we'd love some." And then we come back with like, I think it was like brisk, and they were just like, "Oh God, what is this?"
Yeah, delicious brisk. That's brisk, baby. They had good advertising.
I remember those. God. All right, so hey, it's a 1x guess. Let's fast expand into double guess afterwards for EliGe. Down here in the bottom left, family's so stupid. Think if you give a cat a bath, they will get a cold and die. Well, that's what my cat thinks whenever I'm about to jump into the bath. So
that's right. Cats might believe that, but you know, humans should know better.
Unless you just like give them a bath and then throw them outside and don't dry them off.
Well, I mean, if cats are like really dirty, I guess you can give them a bath, but they kind of take care of that themselves with their raspy tongues.
That's their raspy tongues.
Their hooked tongues. Have you ever seen a close-up macro shot of a cat's tongue?
Yeah.
It's like hundreds of little hooks.
Oh, trust me, when they decide to lick your arm, you feel it.
Yep.
Well, there's a bunker coming up at the front. Now, it had been popular for a really long time for Zerg players to just scoot in with a huge round of speedlings, and this bunker, especially with what we see here from EliGe putting the couple of supply depots up at the front, is able to keep that really, really safe. Recently, though, Zerg players have been going into more of a multiple queen style. And this is going to be a 4-queen build, as we can see, so a lot of very early creep spread, but he goes into gas a little bit quicker than some Zerg players have been doing, as we see double gas up with the macro hatch once again. Yep,
and EliGe has hit basically a point in his build where he's not producing any units, just going up to starport. There we see the reactor finishing up so that he can start cranking out 2 Hellions at a time. Once the starport is done, I'm sure it'll flip around and start cranking out some medevacs as well. Tech lab coming up for the barracks. Do you think you know, is a Banshee going to look likely here? I'm not sure.
I would imagine so. I mean, that's what we've been seeing out of a lot of Terran players recently. So And no, but here is where this build becomes really flexible, because for a while we had seen Terran players do nothing but drop down a few more barracks, double engineering bay, a third command center, that MMA style that we saw for a long time. But lately we've been seeing players, even at the very highest levels, MVP back at Gamescom, for example, going for heavy Banshee strategy, moving into just double armory and mech afterwards. Or some players that will skimp on those Banshees, just produce 1 or 2 maybe, just for a little bit of harassment, but still double armory and go mech.
Yeah, EliGe has started Cloak and a Banshee, so he's looking forward to doing some economic damage, it looks like. The first 2 Hellions are going to arrive soon, but should not be too much for NoCreativity to handle. He's already got, I believe, a couple of Spines already standing, and those Queens in position. Yeah, there's 1 Spine, there's another on the way. Oh, that's a Spore, actually, so he is predicting Cloak Banshee as well.
Yeah, and he's teching pretty quickly. This is more what we saw from that. I was describing a Leanox style before. This is a little more familiar to that. Of course, a few quicker Queens out at the beginning of the game. Nice positioning with the Hellions to be able to sit at the side and pick off 3 of those basically at once. A few of those do get canceled right at the end, though. Yeah,
3 of them actually got canceled. I'm not sure he needed to do that because they were very, very close to getting finished. It would have been a very close finish there.
Whoa,
if the Hellions were able to blast them down or not.
This is a little bit of a blast from the past as well. This is very economically aggressive off of 2 bases to be producing Cloaked Banshees, double Hellions, and Marauders with Stim all at the same time. And I could very well drop a 3rd behind this, but we've seen this a couple of times in the past where players will actually, there's the cat again, that darn cat cold. We have seen this a few times in the past where players have decided to go after a basically Banshee, Marauder, Hellion all in.
Yeah, he's forming up everything to be in one cohesive fighting unit instead of just trying to sneak past with Hellions. If you're certain that your Hellions aren't going to manage to get in there and do enough damage, then that's a decent decision. I'm not sure if doing this build I would have sent those Hellions in yet, because losing those is going to be really, really important, or actually keeping them alive is going to be really, really important if EliGe is going to try and do this all in with a lot of varied units here.
Okay, well, he's making his way out now. That's a fair bit of bio, and he's continuing to produce and rally in, Hellions and Banshees and Marauders behind this. So looks like Stimpack finishing up in 25 seconds, and he is going to expand out of this with double engineering base. This is just going to set his economy and tech pretty far back. So what he needs to do is economic damage right now to make up for it.
Yeah, the first few Hellions move in there, kill a couple of Lings, but now everything is forming up. The Bio and Banshee backup is right here as well. I do wish he would have uncloaked that Banshee a while ago so that he could use them cloaked during this portion of the attack. If he sends in those Hellions and Marines first, he can pick off this Spore Crawler, and the Banshees will be able to do a considerable amount of damage. The 3rd base just totally evacuated now for NoCreativity, so he can try and keep every drone alive during this attack. Scan goes down so he can get a feel for where the army is placed. He knows he can move forward a little bit, and here he goes. This is going to have to do enough damage to these Lings to keep EliGe moving.
And Overseer's overhead, so the Banshees are getting picked off pretty quickly. One of them goes down. Baneling's cleaning up a lot of the rest, and we'll see if the Queens are going to be enough left over now to be able to pick off the rest of these forces. There are a couple of transfusions available, and look at that. This is repelled without taking out even that hatchery. So EliGe now really needs to get this base up quickly and get all of his bases saturated. His infrastructure in place looks like he is starting to get that now.
Yeah, EliGe tried and didn't quite do enough damage to make that worth it. He threw away a lot of units, and basically the Banelings had a large part in that, keeping the ground clear, and the Queens did a great job picking off those Banshees. So now EliGe is kind of scrambling to basically catch back up to where he should be, while 8 Mutalisks are coming up now for 9 Mutalisks, excuse me, for NoCreativity.
And I gotta say, NoCreativity did a wonderful job there of repelling that and producing basically the exact amount of forces he needed in order to repel it, but not dipping into his or preventing him from producing as many mutas as he possibly could. He still has, let's see, with the next one coming up, 9 with +1 weapons on the way. That's really well done.
Yeah, and soon they're going to be already in the base starting to do damage. I'm not sure what EliGe is going to be able to do to slow this down. He's cranking out 1 Marine at a time. That's possibly not enough here. No Vikings in the air either. He's only got 9 Marines total on the map. Not seeing any turrets. Yeah, no turrets, even despite having those 2 engineering bases. So the SCVs are very, very open to attack. Let's see how many NoCreativity is going to manage to snag here.
Oh, he kills quite a bit. Destroys the missile turret. Didn't even get a cancel on that. And he can start picking away at some very valuable stuff now.
Hellions.
The Marines finally make their way up. There are 4 medevacs in the air somewhere, but these missile turrets are still nowhere to be found.
Yeah, they're still in production, not actually going to manage to get finished off. The Mutalisk could actually start to pick off some add-ons like that tech lab there, but it looks like he is just going to head back into the main, try and stop that SCV before it finishes the turret. Oh, it's not even halfway done yet. So he is killing a lot of workers here, just being super annoying with these Mutalisks. While we've got a big Ling run-in at the 3rd, he's going to split his forces a little bit, some into the 3rd here, and some just picking off a couple of, looks like some Hellions were out there a little bit too far. So still bouncing back in with the Mutas, doing a lot of damage here.
Yeah, it looks like he's lost 1 Muta now, so he's got to be a little bit more careful with those, and does lose 2 Mutas in total, 2 more getting very, very low. But he's killed 22 workers in total. He's up by 16 workers himself, but his opponent did get a 3rd base established. EliGe does have that 3rd inside of the pocket here. Looks like they're using the, this is the IPL version. The GSL version does have the smaller amount of mineral patches in the middle, so this is a little interesting. NoCreativity, even though he didn't take a lot of damage at the beginning, he was a little bit slower on bases because he was teching more aggressively, so this isn't an unwinnable position for EliGe. He can certainly macro his way right back into this.
Yeah, but NoCreativity just made a round of 42 Lings, and that could be just really hard for him to deal with just by itself, not to mention all these Mutalisks overhead with free shots on the tanks and Hellions, and right now they just backed into a corner that they could not escape from. Pickups from the medevacs, but dropping the tanks again immediately. The tank is behind a wall of SCV. It's kind of interesting, but the Mutas obviously are still just flying overhead, picking off the medevacs. Next will be the tank, I'm sure, or just, you know, all these SCVs that are just so cleanly there for him to kill off. Right now, 148 supply against 78.
Yeah.
I don't see how EliGe is going to be able to salvage this, even though he's got 11 Marines at a time being produced.
Now this is a lot tougher. There was no siege mode finished. I guess I thought it was done. So, EliGe has to GG, leaves the game, and NoCreativity takes another game there for compLexity Academy.